Now, I want you to go in that bag and find my wallet.
Which one is it?
It's the one that says bad motherfucker.
This is the MoPho by Dave Smith Instruments. It's basically one voice of a Prophet 8 keyboard. It retains all the features of the Prophet, but it's monophonic. Well, okay, it's a little more than that. It further expands the Prophet 8 with a few new features, including a line input, internal feedback that can be used for distortion and overdrive effects, and 2 sub-oscillators. It sounds pretty good, definitely aggressive. The sub-oscillators help out a lot. Oscillator 1 sub goes 1 octave down, and the second oscillator sub goes 2 octaves down. You can create huge bass and leads. I've always been a big fan of the Pro 1. It and the Mini Moog are my favorite monosynths. I'm not sure if mine is calibrated right, but if you mix the oscillators above 75% or so, it starts to overdrive the circuit. A Mini Moog works the same way, but you can also use the line input and route its own signal back into itself, producing more drive. The MoPho has a line input, but you don't have to use an external cord. The left audio channel is normal to audio in until you plug something into it. You can add just a little bit of signal for some feedback, or you can add a lot for crazy, chaotic sounds. One small issue, it goes from just about right to way too much, far too quickly. There isn't enough of a sweet spot. I didn't have any trouble dialing in the right amount, and the Prophet 8 couldn't overload the signal without an external device anyway, so it's still a welcome addition. It allows for both a broader range of sounds and more powerful bass. You can also route external instruments through it and then modulate the filter or amplitude with the MoPho's synthesis engine. The filter on the MoPho really wouldn't be my first choice to run something through, but the synthesis options make it interesting. It's a compact unit, about the size of the original Evolver. 4 knobs are fixed to cutoff, resonance, attack, and decay release, and 4 can be assigned to whatever parameter you'd like. Stereo outputs, monoline in, MIDI, pretty standard stuff. Call me cynical, but when I first saw the push it button, I thought of it more of a marketing feature than an actual usable one. Let me explain. The push it button allows potential buyers to actually hear the synthesizer in store, because you will grow old and die before a Guitar Center employee sets up a module to work with a keyboard controller. It's basically just a preview button, but when you're editing, it's nice to be able to trigger a sound without having to reach for your controller. The MoPho is bundled with editing software for the Mac and PC. I use a Mac with a TC Electronic audio and MIDI interface, and I ran into a few glitches with the editing software crashing. I confirmed this online, that other people were having a similar issue, and they were using different hardware, so it does seem to be the software. But the software itself was easy enough to use, and much better than attempting to program the MoPho directly, which is possible, but best for refining a sound rather than creating one from scratch. There is a catch to all of that. It seems the MoPho is a hard sell. Unlike the Prophet 8, it's somewhat tied to a computer for any real editing. There's a part of me that thinks some of you might as well use a soft synth if you're going to use a computer anyway, but it has enough real-time control that it's still very flexible and useful for live use. I still prefer hardware even in a studio environment, and unlike the software editor, the hardware itself is entirely stable. The MoPho retains the aggressive and spirited quality of its heritage. The new features are a welcome addition, and the feedback routing gives it a distinct advantage over the Prophet 8 for bass. If you take the time to program it, it's easy to integrate it in a live environment. The editor crashed several times during testing. I wish the scaling on the feedback level was a bit different to allow a wider sweet spot. You'll definitely need a computer plugged in to get the most out of editing it.